trash, and I did it. Would anybody else? Pixie?
I know another time.
Ah, okay. Okay.
She, Annie G and Uncle Tuck had a party, and she had too much to drink, which is very rare with her. Very rare. And,
The Sambuca party.
was it a Sambuca party?
Yeah, probably.
And so she just suddenly disappeared, and we couldn't find her. We couldn't figure out what was happening with her. So she wasn't in Annie G and Uncle Tuck's house. So Honey went looking for her, and he found her in the closet. Oh, in the closet, she'd fallen headfirst. She was trying to get her girdle off, I think. But one thing I want to say about Mom is she had so much fun. She and I, we used to see, we didn't get into trouble, but I'd go up here in Vermont and check on her, and she'd say, let's go up to Burlington today. And off we'd go, and we'd be in Burlington all day, and we'd explore stuff, or we'd go to the Burch. And we spent hours sitting on the porch in Vermont talking and laughing and just talking about the kids. And one day she said, "You want to go to England with me? I have a deal on the QE2." So I said, "Sure, Mom, heck yeah." So she and I took off for England. We had such a ball on that ship. She was dancing with everybody. Of course, she hadn't brought up her dancing.
That's right.
She did the dance. And we traveled all over in England. We got on the train, we went places, we did all kinds of stuff. She and I went down the St. Lawrence River together with my mom and dad. She traveled with my parents 3 times, at least 3 times, I think. She went to Alaska, she went to Tahiti, and she went someplace else. That woman got around, and that woman had fun. She knew how to enjoy life. And that's what I'll remember the most about her. She just, besides the fact that everything was wonderful, like you said, Jim, she just really, really took the most out of life. She did. And everything was great, and everybody was great to her, too. I'm going to miss her really a lot.
Timmy?
I'll come up so everyone doesn't have to turn around. I'm happy to report as the oldest blood grandson that we have broken the gene of not being able to drink, so we can certainly. I just want to tell one quick story about my grandmother. Was in the 90s, and we were in Florida, and we were at a stoplight, and it was red, and she just decided to go and turn left. And I said, "Grandma, what are you doing?" She goes, "I'm too old to obey street signs." So I don't think she ever got arrested or anything. No. But she did not obey any street signs. No stop signs, no red light, no yellow light, nothing.
While you're on that subject, I'll tell you, one time she was driving down the street and she had this red car, and she said, "People love my car. They love my car. They honk at me all the time."
I remember when she got rid of her Mercedes convertible, and she said, "Oh, I'm getting old. It's time for me to get something that's a little more, per my age." And I wish she had like a Lexus.
Yeah.
It was a wagon.
It was just like
Grand suitor.
Anyway, I want to say that we always look forward to going to see her, and that for me was a huge thing. Even the last days, it was really special. And I know when we all see her again, we'll have a big bowl of potato salad
With little bacon chips. There must be some other good stories just percolating on.
I'll tell a story. I don't know if it was my wife or Ted. We went to Florida, and Grammy had this great house in Florida, and I had been there a couple times. One time with my brother, we went down on spring break and drove a car around and got really trashed, hit all the nightclubs around town. And she insisted that we go out and have a good time. And this up a couple times. And, but one other time I went to her house, and her house is beautiful. It always amazed me sort of how Grammy, even though she was older, was very contemporary and always liked to keep up with things. And I took her out to get her first cell phone because I thought that she's kind of a dangerous driver and she'd probably need a cell phone in case she got lost or something. I don't even think she really knew how to work it, but I figured Uncle Tim would teach her that when he came down and saw that I got her a phone. So when I showed up to Grammy's house, Grammy instantly takes us over to the table inside the front door, and there was a carving there, and I think it was a Jesus inside of a phallic symbol. And she picks it up off the table and starts dusting it with her hand, and she goes, "People think I don't know what this is. I know what this is. Isn't it beautiful?" And I was shocked. And I've told that story to a lot of my friends, actually, because it just kind of, sometimes you think you lose touch with someone in your family who's older, and then they just shock you with something so funny and kind of there. I also think that as I've gotten older, I told my dad this, and I think it's kind of unique that my grandmother got to see most of us grow up to be adults and get married and have careers and graduate high school and college. And I think now that I'm 38 and my son is 3.5, and I don't think that I'll get to have that experience, unfortunately. So I really know that Grammy took pride in watching all of us become men and the children, and Courtney, seeing Courtney, and I think she was amazed by that, you know, and I look at Grammy's life and I think that she grew up in a time, she was born, what, 1917? I mean, I think that when I think about life now, for me, there weren't cars really then, and there wasn't a telephone, and I think electricity was kind of something you tried to make work in your house, and you know, Grammy, thank God she lived during this time because she loved to speed and drive her car fast and very fast and have a convertible where the top would go down. She used to tell me she'd race people, and she liked to drive on Alligator Alley because she could do 100 miles an hour and the cops would never get her. But I just think that, you know, it's unique to see such a time. And I also remember that you know, back in the 70s and stuff, when, you know, Honey was around, and Honey would tell me that, you know, when it came to like interracial dating and marriage, and the reason I'm telling this story is because how people's opinions change as they age and how time goes on. And Honey used to tell me that different races shouldn't marry, or this was obviously back in the early 70s, shouldn't date or marry, that's not right. And then as it went on, I think he became aware of that, and then Grammy, obviously my wife is Asian, so, you know, I don't care about that at all. And I talked to Grammy about that, and she goes, "You said it, honey. Who cares what color they are?" And I think that was Grammy's favorite saying, is, "You said it, honey." Everything was okay.
That's right, darling.
That's right.
Yes, darling.
So that was that's my story. The phallic symbol, I think.
Jonah has a phone?
Jonah has it.
Really?
Yeah.
Send me a picture.
And he does.
Well, when we think about who we are, who we are at our core, it's hard to visualize all this. I'm just going to give you a quick thing of how I do it. It may not work for everybody, but this is how I do it. I think of when we drive through a fog, and we have a very dense fog you can't see. Sometimes we've been driving in places so it's, you just open the door and watch little lines go by. And then you get out of that density. It's not like you pop that through a skin. It's that it dissipates, and then it's lighter. And then it becomes misty again, sort of middle, and then it gets densely packed.